Awakening 1. The cold hits first, always the cold. I open my eyes to darkness, then blinding white light. My lungs burned as I gasped, pulling in air that tasted metallic and stale. The cryopod hissed open, and I tumbled onto the floor, my legs refusing to remember how to work. Where was I? The memories came slowly, like data loading on a damaged drive. The ship, the Meridian, a 500-year journey to New Haven. I was the engineer. I was supposed to sleep the entire way. But I was awake. I dragged myself to the console, my hands shaking. The screen flickered to life, showing me the truth in cold clinical numbers. Year 10 of 500. All systems normal. All crew in cryosleep. All crew except me. I spent the next 16 hours in a panic. I checked every system, ran every diagnostic. The ship was fine, perfect even. But my pod had malfunctioned, a microscopic error in the sleep regulation system. I would wake every 10 years for approximately 18 hours, then return to sleep. The math was brutal. 50 awakenings, 50 days spread across 5 centuries, 50 days of absolute solitude, while everyone I knew dreamed in frozen suspension. I tried to fix it. I tried everything. But the technology was beyond field repair, and waking anyone else would doom them to the same fate, or worse. As the 18th hour approached, I felt the pull of sleep coming for me again. I stumbled back to my pod, tears freezing on my cheeks, and let the darkness take me. Awakening 2. The cold again, the burning lungs, the same white light. But something was different. I pulled myself out of the pod, stronger this time, my body remembering the routine. 20 years had passed in what felt like a single night. I was alone again, but as I walked through the dim corridors of the ship, I noticed something that stopped me cold. On my workstation, next to the engineering console, someone had left a coffee cup. Not just any cup, it was sitting on top of a handwritten note. My hands trembled as I picked up the paper. The ink had faded slightly, but the words were clear. You're not alone. I wake too, but not when you wake. I'm sorry. I found your logs. I know what you're going through. My name is Elena. I'm the xenobiologist, Pod 47. I'll be awake in 10 years. I'll leave you something then. Stay strong. I read it 17 times. I wasn't alone. Somewhere in the sleeping ship, someone else was trapped in this nightmare. Someone who woke when I slept. Someone I would never see, never speak to, never touch. But someone who knew. I spent my 18 hours writing back. I told her everything, my fear, my desperation, the crushing weight of the silence. I left the note on her workstation in the biology lab, along with a sketch I'd drawn of Earth from memory. Then I went back to sleep and dreamed of a woman I'd never met. Awakening 5. 50 years had passed, 5 awakenings, 5 conversations with a ghost. Her notes were everywhere now. She'd left them strategically, knowing I'd find them during my 18 hours. Each one revealed more about her. She loved old music, the kind from the 21st century, full of guitars and drums. She'd left her favorite songs playing on a loop in the biology lab once, and I'd spent an hour just sitting there, listening, imagining her dancing. She told me about her family, her younger brother who'd stayed on Earth, her mother who died the year before the launch. She told me she'd volunteered for this mission because she had nothing left to lose. I told her about my daughter, about how she'd begged me not to go, about how the last thing she'd said to me was, "I'll never forgive you." Elena's response, left 10 years later, was simple. She will. When we arrive, 500 years will have passed on Earth too. Maybe your great-great-great-grandchildren will forgive you on her behalf. I laughed when I read that. actually laughed. It was the first time in 30 years. Awakening 12. 120 years. The notes had evolved. We'd started leaving each other puzzles, games, challenges. She'd rearranged the entire hydroponics bay into a maze once, with a prize at the center, a chocolate bar from the emergency rations, and a note that said, "You earned it." I'd reprogrammed one of the maintenance robots to perform a clumsy dance routine with a sign around its neck. "I'm not much of a dancer, but I hope this makes you smile." We were falling in love with each other's words, each other's thoughts, each other's lonely hearts reaching across decades. One awakening, I found a video message. She'd figured out how to record herself, and for the first time, I saw her face. She was beautiful. Not in a classical way, but in the way that real people are beautiful. Asymmetrical, expressive, alive. Her hair was dark and wild, escaping from a messy bun. Her eyes were tired but warm. She smiled at the camera, and I felt my heart break and heal simultaneously. "I don't know if I should have done this," she said in the video, her voice soft and slightly hesitant. "Maybe it's easier to love someone you've never seen, but I wanted you to know me, really know me. I'm not perfect, I'm stubborn, and I talk too much, and I burn everything I try to cook. But I'm here. Somewhere in time, I'm here with you." I must have watched that video 50 times during those 18 hours. When it was my turn, I recorded my own message. I told her I was afraid that we'd never meet, never stand in the same moment, never breathe the same air. I told her loving her was the most painful and most beautiful thing I'd ever experienced. We're like binary stars, orbiting each other, bound by gravity but never touching, never colliding, just dancing in the dark forever. Awakening 23. 230 years. The conversations had become more desperate, more intimate. We told each other everything, our fears, our regrets, our dreams. We made plans for when we arrived at New Haven, knowing they were probably impossible, but needing them anyway. "I'll find you the moment we wake," she wrote once. "I'll know you by the way you walk. You told me once that you limp slightly on your left side from an old injury. I'll look for that limp in a crowd of 300 people, and I'll find you." "I'll know you by your laugh," I wrote back. "You described it as embarrassingly loud. I'll listen for the loudest laugh on New Haven, and there you'll be." But doubt was creeping in. The ship was aging. Small systems were failing. Nothing critical, but enough to worry me. During one awakening, I found evidence that the navigation computer had experienced a minor corruption. I fixed it, but it made me wonder what else was breaking while we slept. Awakening 37. 370 years. Something was wrong. Elena's last note had been different, shorter, more formal. She'd written about a headache, about feeling disoriented during her awakening. She tried to brush it off, but I could read the fear between the lines. I spent my entire 18 hours searching for clues. I checked her medical records, her pod diagnostics, everything I could access. And there, buried in the data, I found it. Her pod had developed a secondary malfunction, the same error that plagued me, but worse. Her awakenings were becoming unstable. The gaps between them were irregular, and her last awakening was 20 years ago, not 10. I left her a frantic message begging her to respond, to leave me any sign that she was okay. 10 years later, I woke to silence. 20 years later, still nothing. 30 years later, I found the answer. Awakening 41. 410 years. Her pod was empty. I stood in the cryo bay, staring at pod 47, my reflection warped in its dark glass. The diagnostic panel told the story in merciless detail. Pod failure, year 287, occupant deceased. She'd been gone for over a century. I collapsed, actually collapsed, my legs giving out, my body folding in on itself. The sound that came from my throat didn't sound human. She'd been dead for 123 years, and I'd been leaving her messages the entire time, talking to a ghost, loving a ghost. I wanted to break something. I wanted to scream until my voice gave out. I wanted to open the airlock and step into the void. Instead, I went to her workstation, and I found them. Dozens of notes, hundreds of notes, all dated and numbered, all sealed in protective plastic. She'd written them all before she died. Years' worth of messages scheduled to appear during my future awakenings. The first one I opened was marked Awakening 41. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm so sorry. I knew my pod was failing, and I knew I didn't have much time. I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't bear to ruin the time we had left. So I'm telling you now, in the only way I can. I've left you messages for every remaining awakening. I've tried to imagine what you'll need to hear, what will keep you going. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is cruel, but I couldn't let you wake to silence. I couldn't let you think I abandoned you. You asked me once if this was love, this thing between us, this connection across time and space. You wondered if you could really love someone you'd never touched, never held, never kissed. I can answer that now. Yes, this is love, the most real love I've ever known. You've been my companion, my hope, my reason to endure the loneliness. And even though I'll never stand beside you on New Haven, even though I'll never feel your hand in mine, you've given me something precious. You've made me less alone in the universe. Keep going. Finish the journey. When you arrive, plant a tree for me, something that will live for centuries, something that will outlast both of us. I love you. I loved you from the third awakening, when you left me that terrible drawing of Earth. I loved you through every silence, every message, every moment of impossible hope. I love you still, across the years, across death itself. Forever yours, Elena. I read every note she'd left. It took all 18 hours. Some made me laugh. Some made me weep. All of them made me feel less alone. Awakening 50. 500 years. The final awakening. The ship's alarms were blaring. We'd reached New Haven's orbit. All around me, cryopods were beginning their wake cycles. 300 people stirring from half a millennium of sleep. I pulled myself from my pod for the last time, my body aching in new ways. I was older now. The 50 days of consciousness had aged me in ways the cryo hadn't prevented. Gray hair, deeper lines, hands that shook slightly. But I was here. We'd made it. I went to her workstation one last time. One final note waited for me, marked Awakening 50, Arrival. You did it. We did it. The Meridian has reached New Haven, and 300 souls are about to wake to a new world. You kept them safe. You kept the ship running. You kept going when you had every reason to give up. I wish I could see it. I wish I could stand on that new planet and feel alien soil beneath my feet. But I'll be there in spirit, in every tree you plant, in every time you look up at unfamiliar stars and remember our conversations. You're going to be lonely at first. Everyone else will have each other. They'll have shared this journey together, even if they don't remember it. You'll be the only one who was truly alone, the only one who lived through the voyage. But you won't be alone forever. You'll find connection again. You'll find love again if you let yourself. Don't close your heart because of me. Open it. Love fiercely. Live fully. And when you're very old and you tell stories of the Meridian's journey, tell them about me. Tell them there was a woman who woke when you slept, who loved you across centuries, who made the impossible journey bearable. Tell them we were binary stars dancing in the dark. All my love, across all of time, Elena. The pod bay was filling with confused, groggy colonists. They stumbled out of their pods, looking at each other with wonder, asking questions, embracing. 500 years had passed in what felt like a single night to them. Only I knew how long the journey had truly been. I made my way to the observation deck. Through the massive viewport, New Haven hung in space, a blue-green jewel, cloud-swept and beautiful, unscarred by human civilization. A woman appeared beside me at the window. She was young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and a curious expression. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "Hard to believe we're really here." "Yes," I said, "it is." "I'm Yuki, botanist. I'm going to help terraform the first settlement zones." "Botanist," I repeated, and something in my chest loosened slightly. "That's good. I'm going to need help with something, a special project." She tilted her head. "What kind of project?" I looked out at the new world, imagining the tree that would grow there, something strong and enduring, something that would outlive us all, something that would cast shade for generations not yet born. I need to plant a tree for someone who couldn't be here, someone who loved this journey more than anything, even though she never saw the end. Yuki smiled. I'd be honored to help. Behind us, the ship hummed with new life. 300 colonists preparing to descend to a new world, to build new homes, to start new lives. And somewhere in the vast silence of space, across 5 centuries and an unbridgeable distance, I felt her presence. Not gone, never truly gone. Binary stars dancing in the dark. Forever orbiting, forever bound, forever.